I think it is moving forward. I think that light has definitely been shone into the dark regions, and it's painful, but it's a necessary thing for change.
Hollywood, a place of dreams, wealth, and fame. But beneath the glamour lies a dark underbelly, one that Mel Gibson claims is riddled with corruption, exploitation, and secrecy. In this video, we'll dive into Gibson's explosive allegations about Hollywood elites, including Oprah Winfrey, and their alleged complicity in human trafficking.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness.
Mel Gibson has long been outspoken about what he calls Hollywood's culture of corruption.
It is.
Yeah.
The system is completely based on money.
Yeah.
The studio system.
Yeah.
To a degree, I think the way I hook into the system is based on money.
But his recent allegations go even further, linking Hollywood elites, including Oprah Winfrey, to human trafficking. From his controversial statements to his groundbreaking film, Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom has a message filled with hope and inspiration. The film sparks conversations and encourages people to help end trafficking in their own community.
Mel Gibson has become a polarizing figure in Hollywood's fight against child trafficking. But what's the truth behind his claims? And how does Oprah, one of the world's most beloved figures, fit into this narrative?
There's a producer I know, successful producer, I will not mention names, but his whole opinion about women on film, from beginning to end, is very brief. He says, women on film, either naked or dead.
According to Gibson, the entertainment industry is not just complicit, but actively involved in covering up the exploitation of vulnerable children. He claims these powerful figures use their influence to silence whistleblowers and protect their reputations. Include archival footage of past Hollywood scandals to add context.
I mean, this is a bizarre place. And it doesn't take very long, and I'm sure you've experienced this if you've stayed here for any length of time. You come in, you're fresh from the outside, you're off the boat, from the farm, still got shit on your shoes, you're in here, people are charmed by that, that you've still got shit on your shoes. They're charmed by the fresh approach you bring to it, and that's a real thing. But they're also stroking the shit out of you, you know, licking you all over. And that's kind of good for you too.
It's great.
But it doesn't take very long before you realize, or before it gets to you. It's cascading on you all the time. You can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior that this town and the industry dictate. And no matter how strong you are, when you come in off the farm with those convictions and a certain line of attack, no matter how strong you are going to be affected by this place.
While some dismiss Gibson's statements as conspiracy theories, others argue that his track record of exposing uncomfortable truths gives weight to his claims.
I think it is moving forward. I think that light has definitely been shone into the dark regions, and it's painful, but it's a necessary thing for change.
Mel Gibson's most recent project, Sound of Freedom, is a harrowing tale based on true events.
Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces.
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
The film follows a federal agent's mission to rescue children from trafficking rings in Colombia, shining a light on the brutal realities of this global crisis. Despite its low budget,
The film became a surprise hit, grossing over $200 million at the box office and sparking widespread conversations about the horrors of
Human trafficking include audience reactions, testimonials, and clips of activists praising the film's message.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness.
But not everyone in Hollywood celebrated its success. Major streaming platforms reportedly declined to distribute the film, raising questions about the industry's willingness to confront its own potential ties to exploitation. Gibson's accusations take an unexpected turn by implicating Oprah Winfrey, a global icon of compassion and philanthropy. He points to her associations with individuals like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, both accused of heinous crimes. While Oprah has publicly condemned these figures, critics argue that her relationships with them suggest a deeper, more troubling pattern. Gibson questions whether Oprah's immense influence has been used to shield others, or herself from scrutiny. In 2007, Oprah Winfrey, one of the world's most influential figures, embarked on a bold new initiative, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. Oprah's dream was to give young girls, who had been born into poverty and hardship, the opportunity to succeed and rise above their circumstances. She envisioned a place where education, leadership, and personal growth would empower these girls to become the leaders of tomorrow. However, as time passed, things began to change. Whispers began to surface about troubling incidents in the dormitories. What had started as a dream of empowerment slowly began to unravel. The students began to voice concerns about mistreatment, and rumors began to spread. At first, the rumors were subtle. Quiet conversations among the girls, hushed whispers about things that went wrong behind closed doors. But soon, the stories became more alarming, and the press got hold of them. Allegations of abuse and mismanagement at the academy started to surface. The media, always hungry for a story, began to focus their attention on Oprah's academy. Shocking allegations have surfaced at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. How could such a high-profile project fail to ensure student safety? The media's reaction was swift and intense. The excitement surrounding the school turned into skepticism, and Oprah, who had been hailed as a philanthropist and advocate for women's rights, found herself at the center of a controversy she never saw coming. Oprah knew that words alone would not be enough to restore the public's trust or the trust of the girls who had been affected. She took immediate steps to address the issues at the academy. Consultants were brought in to review the academy's operations, and strict new protocols were introduced. The administration was overhauled, and new security measures were put in place. Oprah also worked closely with the students and the staff to ensure that their voices were heard. One of Oprah's priorities was to visit the academy personally and speak with the girls. She met with them one-on-one, listening to their concerns and ensuring they felt safe. Oprah reaffirmed her commitment to their well-being and promised to do whatever it took to rebuild the academy's reputation and restore its original purpose. At the heart of Gibson's allegations is Hollywood's culture of silence. For decades, powerful elites have used non-disclosure agreements and their influence to suppress allegations of abuse and exploitation. Many survivors of trafficking and exploitation have shared stories of being silenced by the very institutions meant to protect them. Gibson argues that this systemic corruption extends to the highest levels of power in Hollywood. Mel Gibson is no stranger to controversy. For years, his name has been linked to Hollywood fame, blockbuster success, and personal scandal. Once celebrated for roles in films like Braveheart and Lethal Weapon, Gibson's career took a dramatic turn when he faced backlash over offensive remarks and allegations of misconduct. His reputation plummeted, and he became an outcast in Hollywood, with many seeing his actions as beyond redemption.
He came to see me on a rooftop in New York. I said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And he said, "Sure." He floated in, sideways, through a crowd of people. He was wearing black, and it was like one of those old vampire movies where they don't walk, but they glide. And he was a dancer, so he has he's very, graceful.
Yeah.
And he moved sideways, and he just sat down in a chair next to me. And it kind of frightened me. And he's a very smart guy. And we started talking, and I didn't, say much of anything about reading the script, nothing. I just started talking about the Middle Ages. And he began to talk tortures. And we swapped tortures, because I'd read this book on torture. And I tried to recall some of the most heinous things I'd ever read in this book. And he was like, oh, and he'd try and top it. And my assistant was there, and he left because he couldn't stand it anymore. Yeah. The air had turned cold. And then he left, and I wanted to leave. And because I knew that I didn't want to work with him. Yeah. And he was getting scary. Yeah. And then I turned around, and it was on top of the Peninsula Hotel. I turned around to avoid his steady gaze at one point. Yeah. And I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it. So there was a huge illuminated 666 in red. Yeah. And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris Walken is the Antichrist,
In recent wars, however, Gibson has redirected his energy toward a cause far removed from the glitz of Hollywood, the fight against human trafficking. Rather than focusing on repairing his public image, he's devoted himself to exposing the horrors of trafficking and advocating for victims. Behind the scenes, Gibson has worked with anti-trafficking organizations, funded initiatives to assist survivors, and pushed for greater accountability from institutions that allow trafficking networks to flourish. Gibson's commitment has gone beyond mere words. He has donated resources to support survivors, funded educational projects, and promoted documentaries to raise awareness about trafficking's devastating impact on communities worldwide. He's been outspoken about the need for systemic change, calling out institutions and individuals who turn a blind eye to trafficking. In doing so, he's highlighted the urgent need for transparency, arguing that until corruption within governments and corporations is addressed, trafficking will continue to thrive. Some critics question Gibson's motives, wondering if his anti-trafficking advocacy is an attempt to restore his tarnished reputation. Others, however, see a man genuinely transformed, dedicating himself to a cause that transcends Hollywood and personal gain. Regardless of intentions, Gibson's work is making a tangible impact. By raising awareness and funding survivor support, he's helping to combat a global crisis that affects millions. Mel Gibson's journey from Hollywood star to activist is complex. Despite his past, his recent focus has shifted toward a mission demanding courage, resilience, and a willingness to confront society's darkest corners. Whether or not this advocacy redeems him in the eyes of the public, Gibson has taken a stand on an issue that matters deeply, one where his influence may ultimately make a lasting difference. Gibson has redirected his energy toward exposing corruption and advocating for victims of trafficking. Through his collaboration with organizations fighting human trafficking, Gibson has sought to redeem himself and shine a light on one of the most pressing human rights issues of our time.
Is there a collective ethos, or somebody once said my problem was I didn't understand the social contract. Yeah, I now understand what that means.
Yeah.
Do you understand it?
The social contract?
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah. What is it for you?
The social contract. You can't get mad. You can't get mad. You can't let it get you, because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be fucked over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for. And it may happen that by circumstance, or even very purposefully, that you fuck someone over. But that shouldn't get in the way of you being able to sit down and have fun with them. Am I on the right track? You can't build a resentment about it. You have to still try and love those people.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're thinking.
Because it ain't personal.
No, it's not personal. They don't really mean to hurt you.
No.
Not really. I don't quite understand. Well, I mean, there's a lot of motivations for why it happens. Yes, many.
I mean, money will make you do stuff as well, won't it? I mean,
Yes.
them, us,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Well, whoever.
If there's many millions riding on a decision, it's hard to be philosophical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very hard. Very hard to be. You know, you have to choose what level of integrity you're coming in at.
Whether or not you believe Mel Gibson's claims, his statements have ignited a necessary conversation about accountability, exploitation, and secrecy in Hollywood. Over the years, Gibson has transitioned from celebrated actor and director to a more controversial figure, often sparking debate for his strong opinions and turbulent past. Recently, however, he has shifted his focus to exposing the darker side of the industry, specifically issues of abuse and exploitation that he claims are often hidden from public view. Gibson has positioned himself as a voice against what he sees as Hollywood's moral failings, urging the public to look deeper at the structures that enable these issues to persist. The recent success of Sound of Freedom, a film exposing the horrors of human trafficking, underscores that audiences are indeed ready to confront uncomfortable truths, even when the industry itself seems hesitant. The film's box office success reveals a growing interest among viewers in topics that challenge the Hollywood status quo, showing a public that is more aware, engaged, and willing to explore the darker realities that often go unaddressed. While Sound of Freedom operates independently of Gibson, its reception signals a shift, a growing movement of filmmakers and viewers willing to bring these hidden issues to light. Gibson's public statements add fuel to this movement, compelling audiences to reflect on what goes on behind Hollywood's glamorous facade. Critics may question his intentions, given his controversial past, but others see his advocacy as a call for change. By addressing exploitation in the entertainment industry, Gibson emphasizes the need for transparency and accountability, not just within Hollywood, but in society as a whole. His recent interviews and support for anti-trafficking initiatives, combined with Sound of Freedom's success, challenge the industry to confront what it has long kept in the shadows. While some are skeptical of Gibson's involvement, his message resonates with those who believe that real change can only come from shedding light on uncomfortable truths. For many, Gibson's voice serves as a reminder that accountability is crucial for meaningful progress. Whether Hollywood is prepared to confront its issues remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: audiences are no longer content with the surface-level glamour. They are seeking deeper truths, a shift that may ultimately reshape the industry and bring long overdue awareness to the issues of exploitation and corruption. At the core of this controversy lies a fundamental question we must all grapple with. Are we, as a society, truly prepared to hold the powerful accountable, no matter how untouchable they seem? It's a question that resonates far beyond Hollywood or any single industry. In our world, where wealth and influence often provide shields, we risk allowing systems of exploitation to persist unless we insist on transparency and justice. This isn't just about exposing the misdeeds of a few powerful figures. It's about recognizing our own role in a culture that too often silences victims and disregards accountability. We must ask ourselves, what role are we willing to play in standing with survivors and ensuring that their voices are heard? Are we prepared to demand a system that prioritizes people over profit and justice over reputation? As members of society, we share a responsibility to confront uncomfortable truths, advocate for those impacted by exploitation, and push for changes that create an environment where integrity matters. Real change requires a unified commitment to uphold accountability, insisting that no one is beyond reproach and that those who are vulnerable receive the support they need. Together, we can work to create a culture that values justice, truth, and transparency for everyone. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.